It's time, my friends, for another Devo tip on Ezekiel Unfiltered, chapters 8 through 10. It had been 14 months since Ezekiel's vision of the glory of God back in chapter 1. So in chapter 8, the man God that Ezekiel had seen on the chariot throne was now a tour guide. Ezekiel found himself on a visionary journey across the Arabian desert to the temple in Jerusalem. On his arrival, he was greeted by the glory of the Lord. But there was an elephant in the room, so to speak. That is, an image of jealousy that was driving God away from his own sanctuary. Although the idol is not identified, it's likely a statue of the goddess Asherah, who was known as the Queen of Heaven, the mother and mistress of Baal, or Baal, as we would often say. The queen was everywhere, on every hill, on every street corner of Jerusalem. Asherah's image was carved in trees near Baal's altar on high places. These images are often translated Asherah poles or sacred trees or wooden pillars in our translations. She stood naked on her sacred lion, holding out lotus blossoms in her right hand and serpents in her left. Gee, serpents, lotus blossoms, and a sacred tree? This can't be good. Reminds me of Genesis 3. God's people openly worshipped her on the rooftops of their homes. They even baked raisin cakes in her image, not for potlucks, but for unholy rituals. And it gets worse. Leaving that scarlet hag behind, Ezekiel's tour guide leads him to a hole in the wall of the temple where he's told to dig toward a secret room being used for secret rituals by 70 men. The graffiti carved on the walls of the secret room seemed to come alive with images of creepy crawlers, which Ezekiel describes as disgusting droppings of excrement. That's a literal translation of chapter 8, verse 10. This was likely a disturbing reminder of that lunch mime a few chapters back. But in their delusion, the creepy men were burning incense, hoping that God could not see them performing their rituals in the dark. Outside the temple, women sat weeping for a god named Tammuz to rise from the underworld, while men were bowing to the sun god Shamash with their backs to the temple. Talk about a pitiful magical mystery tour. Asherah, the Queen of Heaven, secret rituals, a cult of death, and nature worship, all within Jerusalem's temple complex. God's temple had become a pot of religious pluralism. No wonder the Lord's glory chariot departed. The Lord was being driven out of his own temple by his own people. Religious pluralism affirms all form of spirituality as equally valid paths to God. Religion for the pluralist is not about truth claims. It's more like a lovefest parade in which everyone pretends that their beliefs are the same or that they don't really matter. This is where Jesus gets us into trouble, doesn't he? Because he's the one with all the exclusive truth claims, not us. We believe him. We can't pretend that all beliefs are the same. Truth exists and it really matters. Logic requires that contradictory religious truth claims cannot be simultaneously true. God's exclusive claims are the same today as they were in the days of Ezekiel.